Hi there, I'm Dale Mathis, and I am in Sun City, Arizona, and in today's video, which I am calling Dale Mathis Sound Sets Explained, I'm going to try to attempt to get sound explanations between what I do with the accordions that I modify for Crown Music customers versus the Roland accordion that comes directly out of the box. Now, when I was first thinking about this idea, what I wanted to do is have two accordions. A customer who already has one of my modified accordions versus one that I've just taken out of the box. Well, I haven't been able to arrange that quite yet, but at some point I am planning on doing that. So for today, I'm just going to try and point out the differences. So I hope that with camera microphones and uploading and downloading and all that kind of stuff, the sound does get changed on, video qualities get changed and whatever. But I'm hoping that you'll be able to hear the differences between what I do versus how the accordion comes straight to you from Roland. So the thing that this accordion is just right out of the box. It has had no changes, so you're just going to hear the straight accordion. So someone who has a Roland FR4X accordion straight out of the box from another dealer, they will recognize these sounds. So I just turned it on. This is the master accordion sound. Okay, so the volume is turned all the way up, no special effects turned on, and balance is set at the medium position. So one of the first things to explain when I get into the editing process and I do an A-B so that I'll put the two segments next to each other is in the 7 registers that you have, like here's the bassoon, here's the tab right next to it, here's the tab right next to it. There's almost no difference in the sound, right? Now when I get to the master, even not all that much difference there. Now here's register number 5. Obviously there you're going to hear a difference because it went to a clarinet sound. Here's number 6. A little bit of a musette. Here's number 7. Now there you can hear a difference. So in my way of thinking about this, way the register space should be used, I like to have dramatic differences between the 7 registers so that when you do make a sound change, that you can really hear it and it makes good use of that real estate. So that's one of the first things that I do is give you really different changes in the tone. Now another thing I need to explain right now is that the overall sound system in this accordion, it's only an 11-watt sound system and it has just 3 speakers in it, 2 woofers and 1 tweeter. But you're going to hear when I load the software into this accordion, or I hope you will hear it on the video, and you may have to listen with headphones on to actually hear the difference, is that there's a dramatic difference in the tone quality. So I think what I'm going to do is just play the master right now, and then there will be a cut in this video so that when I come back with the modified sound that you'll be able to hear the difference. So here we go. Let's do the Blue Skirt Waltz. let's do one more thing. I'm going to turn on the orchestra bass and chord, so we'll get this now. Okay, so I'll be right back, and this will be after the accordion has been modified. Alright, I'm back, and I've modified the accordion with the Dale Mathis sound sets. And the first thing that you're going to hear is just the turn on, how it sounds just after the accordion's turned on. And you know, I just tried this a little second ago. What you're probably not going to be able to hear in this video is how much more power the accordion now has. We'll give it a try and see what you think. Now let's turn on the bass and chord, orchestra bass and chord. So you'll hear that this side is much more powerful now, plus it doesn't have that thumpy sound anymore. It actually sounds more like a string bass now. And what I was talking about with the 7 register buttons, just in the first section, what's available in the registers. Let's take a listen now. We've got the bassoon. That's a really sweet sounding bassoon. Here's the bandoneon. Here's a bright one. It's got a slightly bit of musette to it, but it's at a 16-foot stop. It's great for Yankovic. Here's the master. Here's the clarinet. Here's 8-foot musette. And then here's a 16-foot musette. This you will not find from Roland. So it's a really nice, thick, rich tone. Then what I need to address that I should have covered in the first segment is what I've done to the orchestral sounds. In the stock Roland, you get, you know what, I will show you these, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to switch the accordion back again to show you what's in the stock orchestral voices. But here's the Dale Mathis orchestral voices. So the first one that you get is the twangy guitar. Here's the quarter-vox accordion. Now what you do with that sound, you notice it's got this lingering quality to it. You can't get that from Roland because I made that sound. But I'm going to combine that with the accordion. Whoops. There we go. And then I want this. There, now I'm going to combine them. So that sound is not available from Roland. Let's go on. Saxophone player. is the trumpet player. Next one is the clarinet player. Next one is the pedal steel or the Hawaiian guitar. And again, that's a voice that is not available from Roland. So I'm going to switch this accordion back just so that you can hear those orchestral sounds that Roland offers when it is first turned on. And then we'll go on from there. So I hope you're finding this interesting, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Alrighty, so I'm back with the original Roland orchestral voices. So in the way that the orchestral voices come originally out of the box, when you hit Orchestra on and you hit register number 1, you get piano. And Roland does have a very nice piano sound. However, unless you go into the editor and modify it, most accordion players cannot play it on the Roland accordion, because when you're playing on piano, you're used to playing this way, that you can put your body weight into it and you can get some expression with it. But for an accordion player, it's especially when you're used to just push the key down and it sounds, it's very hard to make the piano player and the guitar players, both of those voices, for many people who have just the stock Roland accordion, they can't use them because they just can't figure out how to make it play. So when I edit all of these voices, I change all of those settings so that it is much easier for the accordion player to make the piano and the guitars easy to play and to sound right, and to add the right amount of tremolos and sustains and all that stuff. And you get none of that from Roland. So here's that stock piano voice. And you hear there's not much to it. It's, again, if you were in the room, you could hear there's not much to it. I don't know how much the camera is going to alter all of this stuff. All right, so the next one is pure electric piano. And again, this is one of those voices that, you know, it's a very pretty voice, but most of my folks that I'm dealing with, they're never going to use it. The Carpenters use that sound a lot in We've Only Just Begun and all of those sounds back from the 70s. And number 3 is the steel drum. You know, for a front panel voice, I don't know how usable that is. Number 3, they put the vibes on it, or 4 rather. And I do have the vibes on my front panel for doing Yellowbird and a bunch of the Latin tunes, but it doesn't sound like this. I've changed it considerably. Number 5 is one of the pipe organ sounds. And again, it's a good sound, but right on the front panel, how often are you going to use that unless you're a church player and are looking for that? And then you're going to want a whole bunch of other sounds associated with it. So next one is the harmonica. That's a usable voice. some editing needs to be done to it to make it more usable, to get the vibratos and all of the other things that harmonica players do, but it's the raw voice. And then here is one of the guitars, and again, you really have to attack this thing, and for most accordion players they just can't make it work, so it's like useless to them. So I just wanted to, and of course there are a lot more orchestral voices in the instrument, but I'm just showing you what is at the beginning in the turn-on set, and you know, it just goes on from there. But just to give you an example of the differences between what I have done to spend hundreds and hundreds of hours changing all of these sounds to make it useful to an accordion player versus the stock sound set that comes from Roland. You know, those same sounds come in their digital pianos and they come in their synthesizers, and when you're using them in that capacity, especially those pianos and guitars, you're playing like this and you have body pressure that you can put into it, where on the accordion it's just a whole different technique, and so you have to edit the sounds to accommodate all of that structure. Alright, so on to the next segment. Okay, in this next segment, what I want to talk about is in the set memories. There are 100 set memories on the FR4X, and of those 100 set memories, 67 have been preloaded by Roland, and what they are is virtual copies of acoustic accordions that they've gathered from around the world. Now, when you buy an accordion from Crown Music, all of those same sound sets, those 67 banks or of virtual accordions, they're all still in your accordion. What I do is add 4 more. So you'll get my turn-on set, and then one I call Mellow, and another one that I call Stadium, and a third one that I call Synthesizer. So I'm not taking anything away from the set memories. What I am changing dramatically is the user programs. So I just pulled out from the manual the Roland user programs, and I'm looking at the sheet here. So let's just go through some of them a little bit. So I'm just going to hit the user program light and hit number 1. And it's called Classic 1. So let's take a listen and see what it sounds like. So what we've got is this accordion sound, which sounds like an organ. You know, in accordion lingo, it's an organ stop. And the voiceover on the left-hand side is the bowed bass and a piano. So okay, number 2 is called Classic Accordion and Orchestra, so let's see what that sounds like. So a little bit more sound over on the bass and chord side. Let's hit number 3, they call it Concerto. Let's hit number 4, they call it à la Bach Classical. Now we're going to go to number 5, it's called Barocco Accordion. I don't know what that means, but... And then number 6 they call Astor Ave Maria. I'm thinking they want you to play Ave Maria, so this is what number 7 is called, Ave Maria. Well, not what I expected. So what we've got over here is the pipe organ bass and a pipe organ chord and a piano over here. And if you hear, it's very soft. Let's go to number 8. It's called Concerto Bells. Number 9 is called Epic Travels. Number 10 is called Persian Orchestra. So it's got some drums on it. Number 11 is called Lamento Classic. Number 12 is called New Solo Violin Orchestra. Number 13 is called Soft Church Organ Accompaniment. Number 14 is called Oboe Solo. Okay, so that's all 14 of the sounds that are in Bank 1. So I'm not saying that any of this is bad. I'm just saying that I think I have a better idea. And so when I come back after I've got the accordion programmed with the Dale Mathis sound sets, I'm going to go through the idea that I have of how to program the registers, plus all of the sounds that you have heard so far are just stock Roland sounds. Nothing's modified, it's just whatever you find directly in the basic sound source. So that will be a huge difference that you'll find in the Dale Mathis sound sets, is I have created sounds like the Hawaiian guitar and like the boom bass and right off the top of my head, oh, the Quarterbox accordion. You know, a lot of folks love that sound, and you can't get any of those sounds from Roland. So I'm going to be back with, you know, and I also want to explain, now I only showed you 14 of those stock Roland sounds, and of course there are 98, and I'm talking about in the user program, because you've got 7 banks, and in each bank you've got 14 registers. So I'm going to come back with the next segment after I've got this all switched over, and we'll take a listen and you be the judge. Okay, so in this final segment of today's video, what I want to discuss is what I have done with the user programming and my concept versus what Roland did. So I've just turned on the user program light, and so we're in bank 1, register number 1. Now you remember in when I showed you the Roland program, it said Classic 1. Well, okay, you know, it's a nice sound, rather thin and weak, but I think more American accordion players are going to like what I've offered right off the top of the bat. So I have a country twangy guitar. So I had to program all of that. That is not the way the country or the guitar comes from Roland. It doesn't sound like that. And so let's go on to the next one. Here's the mandolin. Now, in my way of thinking, I want to be able to switch back and forth between all of these sounds within one song. So I could have started off my song with the guitar player. Let's see. And then switch to mandolin. See, and Roland doesn't think it out that way. They just have a whole different concept where you're only going to use one button at a time. You're not going to be using it to do orchestrations. So let's go on to number 3. Here's my Hawaiian guitar. And number 4 is a master sound. And again, if you listen to the bass sound, it's got a nice, rich string bass sound with sustain. Number 5 is the organ sustain. And in a song, you could easily switch back and forth between the master and that organ sustain. So if I do, so it's much more usable. Let's see what I've got here on number 6. I've got the registrations to do something nice and mellow like the song Misty with a saxophone player. And I'll be honest, that one I would turn some reverb on. So I've been playing everything without reverb, but now I'm going to add some reverb because that really will help make that saxophone sound more realistic. And now I could just switch over to the organ sound, which is right next to it. Or I could switch over to the master accordion. And back to the saxophone. See, so I think the way I thought this out, it just makes a whole lot more sense to make use of orchestration for these registers rather than one sound that you have to stick within that for the song. And that's more of the classical accordion player thinking. You know, the classical accordion player is the one that instead of playing stradella bass and chord, they're going to be playing free bass over here, and they tend to use one sound through an entire song. Where if you listen to the Glenn Miller Band, or you listen to a new country band, or a rock and roll band, the sounds are always changing. It's not the same sound through the entire song. So that's why the way that I've thought this out is just a whole lot different. Plus the overall sound of the accordion. That original sound from Roland is rather thin and nasal, and it just took me a long time to figure out how to reprogram all of the editors to get rid of that high mid-range sound and to fatten the sound up. So I hope this has been informative, and I welcome your feedback on this in the comments of the YouTube video. And you know, thanks for watching. at micronmusic.net is where all of my free sheet music and video lessons are located. So again, thank you very much for watching.